Now, can you try to picture a condition where the immune system itself attacks tissues and organs, mistaking them to be foreign bodies? Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease that can affect and damage any part of the body. This being the Lupus Awareness Day, it's all about raising awareness about the impact on the physical, emotional and economic aspects of the disease to a person's life. Tonight, we are joined by Caroline Obala, who is a Lupus Warrior, to help us shed more light on this. Caroline Obala, thank you so much for dedicating your time for this discussion.
Thank you for having me. Right,
now into the discussion of the night. When you're talking about lupus, now with you as a warrior, this is a disease that is not known to, so many people. Now, from a personal experience, what exactly is lupus, and how would you define it for someone who has totally no information or know-how about the disease?
Right. The way they describe it is lupus is an autoimmune disease whereby the body attacks itself. Yes. Now, in layman's language, you have antibodies in your body that normally prevents you from, diseases, bacteria and viruses. So when you get a cold, the body will be able to fight that. Mm-hmm. With person with lupus, the antibodies are hyperactive. So they cannot recognize the good gene and the bad gene, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, so it starts attacking the body.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Now, medical reports have actually indicated that most people, most of the time, the people who are, living with lupus, they sometimes don't even know that, they're living with the disease. Now, I really wish to know that, how did you realize that, you had this disease, and how did you, internalize this information?
You're very right, because lupus manifests itself in different ways. You could have different symptoms that somebody may think that maybe it's malaria, or maybe it's HIV, because that's what they always test. Mm-hmm. But it has to be specific test, A&A test, that has to be done to be able to identify the lupus genes mm-hmm. itself. Mm-hmm. Now, how did I get to be diagnosed? Sure. Right, so my disease started by bilateral carpal tunnel. I started having pains, swelling, went to my emergency room. Mm-hmm. They diagnosed me with bilateral carpal tunnel. They started giving me medication to help with the inflammation. Mm-hmm. Eventually, my muscles collapsed, and my primary doctor saw the gene in my blood, mm-hmm. decided to send me to a rheumatologist. Mm-hmm. So the rheumatologist is the one that deals with most autoimmune diseases. They are the ones that give you the diagnosis for the lupus itself. Mm-hmm. So the rheumatologist was able to diagnose me mm-hmm. with lupus.
So maybe prior to this, were you aware of even the lupus as a disease itself?
Well, I heard people talk about it. I know there's one lady here in Kenya had it, mm-hmm. talked about it for a few years, and then it went silent. Mm-hmm. Personally, I had no clue what lupus is, mm-hmm. how it manifests, if people have it, how they live with it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So how did you internalize when this information reached you that you had lupus?
Yes.
How did it hit you?
For the most part, for myself and many other lupus warriors, it's a mm-hmm. scary thought that you're being told you have a disease that has no cure. Mm-hmm. So the first time they told me I had this disease, I went into depression. I wasn't able to talk to anyone. I wasn't able to do anything. When my phone rings, I'd look at it because I didn't know how to explain what it is, because myself, I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. So it was very devastating, the thought of trying to read what it is, and they say there's no cure, most people die, you get your organs attacked. Mm-hmm. It was a very scary situation.
All right. I really understand that. Now, in trying to understand this disease further, what are the risk factors, probably from your interactions with the doctors and other specialists who, know much about the disease? What are the risk factors, or rather we can call them the causative agents of this disease? And, who are the category of people who are likely to be, affected with this disease?
All right. For the most part, they said women into childbearing age, that's mm-hmm. between 14 and 49, 50 years old, are the ones who are most at risk for this. They say maybe because of the imbalance of the estrogen or hormones, mm-hmm. but men also do get affected, but the percentage is lower compared to the men, to mm-hmm. the women, mm-hmm. beg your pardon. So it is very difficult to actually say what causes it. it could be environment, it could be estrogen, it could be chemicals. So they don't have a clue what actually causes lupus to manifest. It could be the sunlight. So there's very many different reasons why somebody may have lupus itself. And that said, each patient with lupus experience or is exposed different types of symptoms as well. I may have lupus, my friend may have lupus, but we both have different types of symptoms.
Right.
Yes.
Now, maybe talking of symptoms, because, you know, it's one disease that probably when you're suffering from it, you might not really know that, you know, you're suffering from lupus. So what are the kind of probably symptoms that, you know, that manifest themselves for someone who is suffering the disease?
Well, to explain in a nutshell, it's not something like you say you're having a headache, you know the head is aching. With lupus, as I mentioned earlier, every person with lupus has different types of symptoms. Yes, there's basic symptoms that everyone may have. For example, inflammation, you know, joint pains, headaches, migraines. These days, most of the people have the butterfly rash on their face, but not only on their face, but you can have rash all over your body. That's called discoid lupus. So we have different types of lupus. So it depends on the person, but most of the time, those are the basic symptoms. So different people have different symptoms because the lupus are different. Systemic lupus, SLE, which I have, that deals with the organs. So any part of the organs can be affected. It could be your kidney, your liver, your lungs. It could be your heart. It could be your skin, your brain. So that's systemic lupus, whereby we have other lupus that people have different types of symptoms. Yes.
Now, still on that, because we are creating awareness about the disease. It's one disease that not so many people know about it. Now, for probably those who might, you know, get infected with the disease, but because earlier you say that it's one disease that the proper cure, the exact cure has not yet been established. So how should really people live with it, rather on you personally, because you're a warrior, you're fighting this disease. How do you manage to live with it? How should people adjust their lives to properly try to manage this disease?
So the disease itself, when you look at me, you will not know that I am sick.
Sure, it's, I mean, you know, I really couldn't pinpoint that now. This is the warrior that we're talking about. You know.
Yes, and it goes a long way with all the lupus warriors that we work with, that we support each other. If you look at them, they're always smiling.
Right.
The smile doesn't mean we are not in pain. We have chronic pains, and it depends. It could be in the morning, I wake up, I'm in pain, and then in the afternoon, I'm fine. 2 hours later, I'm not okay. So it's a disease, let's say it is a silent pain, silent killer, is not manifested in your face unless you have the discoid, which is the butterfly rash. So with the disease itself, yes, it doesn't have cure. They treat the symptoms. So we may have rheumatologists, nephrologists, we have a cardiologist, different type of doctors, depending on what the lupus is attacking or what is happening in your body. So we get also different medication depending on what you are experiencing. Like I said, every person or patient with lupus has different symptoms. So the doctors manage the symptoms.
Right.
For example, if you have a headache, you'll take Panadol. If you have a stomachache, you'll take Action. So if you have joint pains, you know, you take something for the joint pain. Similarly, if you have lupus and different symptoms, the doctors treat the symptoms.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, that's well noted. So another thing that probably I'd really wish that we talk about, you understand that you're in an organization, you're in an organization that helps the Lupus Warrior. So tell us about this organization and how have you been able to help people who are living with the disease, and probably someone who might be, you know, wondering where they could get the kind of help that the warriors need, you know, how they could probably reach out to you or something.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. So we have an organization called Lupus Awareness, Inc. It's actually registered in Dallas, Texas, but we've already started the registration here in Kenya. It was founded by a lady called Anne Lillian. She started talking about her story on Facebook, and people started reaching out, asking questions about lupus because her story is wide. She has lupus, scleroderma, Raynaud's syndrome, she has so many different autoimmune diseases, including other additional diseases from lupus. So she's living with lupus. She's a big story to talk about.
Right.
So when people heard the story, they started reaching out. Then we started a group chat, and thereby started having that support group. How we support the warriors, everyone cannot walk by themselves.
Right.
And this disease is unknown. So when you get diagnosed, you wonder, how am I going to live with it? Is it just me who's having it? Is there anyone else who's experiencing what I'm experiencing? So with the group chat, we're able to share our day-to-day, and everyone feels that they are home. So first of all, we created a home. Secondly, we have lupus warriors that are able to cater for the medical, for the blood work, for the medication itself. It's extremely expensive, and NHIF doesn't cover most of the medication. So what we do, we take 2 cases at a time, and we see what the needs are. We may be able to take them to the rheumatologist, see the doctor writes a blood work, we go take them to the blood work, they do the blood work set, thereby go back to the doctor, and then they'll be able to get now prescription. So we do support the warriors by giving them medication. We have agreement with a couple of pharmacy that we get discounts for them. We are about to get into agreement with the pathology lab, which they're going to get discounts for that, but that's not enough.
Sure.
We're here to create awareness. The main purpose of the group is to create awareness so that everyone can understand and know what lupus is, to eliminate the stereotype that we are pretending. Like if you see me, like I said, you wouldn't know I'm sick.
Sure.
But if I start walking here, start limping, you think I'm pretending.
Right.
I'm not. I'm in chronic pain. So there's a lot of stereotype within the workplace. There's a lot of stereotypes within the family. There's a lot of stereotype within the friends as well, because they do not understand what lupus is. So we need all the support. Hence, we started this organization, SCLAD Awareness, Inc.
Right. Now, still on that, probably for people who might want to join this initiative of, creating awareness about the disease and, supporting in one way or the other. So how do they get to, probably you have offices somewhere that someone could walk in, or how do they join this initiative?
Yes, we are on Facebook, SCLAD Awareness. We're on Instagram as well, SCLAD Awareness. If you just check it out, you can be able to pull up and see all our information and all our events. Like we just saw earlier, we had an event, Lupus Walk, last weekend, and we had a lot of people who did not have a clue of what lupus is, and they got a lot of fulfillment by just being there.
Right.
Yes.
Now, maybe as we wind up, as a lupus warrior, what's really the greatest challenge that you face personally, that you really feel that should urgently be addressed in the country and even beyond?
For me personally, what I've seen in the support within the Kenya community is the access for proper treatment, access for proper medication, access to be able to get these facilities for the lupus patient. For example, the same medication, the same treatment that a person with cancer receives is the same treatment that a lupus patient receives. But guess what? The cancer patient medication is 100% taken care of by the NHIF, but the same medication is not. So this is very difficult for a lupus patient to be able to get access to the medication. So what I'd urge for the government to assist with incorporating the same medication that the lupus patient will be using, the same doctors, the same treatment should be equal to the other treatments that are being received by other illnesses.
Right. And I hope this message gets to the government and the stakeholders in the health sector, and they get to implement this. Probably I'll also give you probably a minute to pass a message to the country, because we are creating awareness about the disease. Pass a message to the general public, people who are watching this, citizens of the country, and of course other parts of the country.
Yes, we always say, for a world without lupus, we must know lupus. That's why we are here. That's why they create World Lupus Day, so that people can understand and know this disease. What I urge everyone is just take a minute of your time to look into these diseases. Take a minute of your time to listen to your friend, your family member. When they say they're in pain, please try and understand. Try and ask them, what is it that living with this pain? What is causing this pain? If there's no answer, try and find out the answer. It's not always that people pretend, because it's not manifested in our face, but we are going through it. So please take time to support your family members, support your friend, support a neighbor. This disease is real, there's no cure, but we're working hard so that we can create awareness, eventually praying for a cure.
Right. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Caroline Obala, for your input on this. Of course, we've got to learn a lot that people never knew about this. You know, it's also very surprising that, you know, as you said, that someone might be looking okay on the outside, but there's really a lot going on inside.
Yes.
And of course, we're urging Kenyans and any other person, of course, who in the country and beyond to get to support as she has requested. Let us support the family, the friends. People might be going through a lot in the inside that we cannot see, in however much that they might look okay in the outside. Thank you so much. We hope, of course, as we create awareness, we shall be, you know, having more and more discussions on this until it gets to sink to every part of the country.
Thank you for having me.
Right. And with that, a very short break. We shall be having much more for you, so stay with us.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi kukufuku, pepo pani idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vilevile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo